Okay, Unit 7, Financial Applications, 7.1, Simple Interest. So simple interest is not something that's commonly used. In fact, the only time you ever probably will use simple interest is if you and a friend decide that you're going to loan each other money and you're going to charge interest. You would charge a simple interest, but in the financial world, it's not used often. But it is a good intro into how interest works. So it'll give you an idea of how interest works until we get into the more complicated calculations. So what simple interest is interest that's calculated only on the principal amount, which is the amount invested or the amount borrowed. So the principal is, let's say you borrowed 20 bucks from your friend, the principal will be 20. You lend $30 to your friend, the principal is 30. So the formula for interest, for simple interest, is I equals PRT, where I stands for the interest, P is the principal amount, and R is the interest rate per year, and it needs to be given as a decimal, and T is time in years. And then once you've calculated the interest, you can calculate the total amount by taking the principal and adding on the interest. Okay, so first example, how much interest is earned if $1,200 is invested at 5% per year simple interest for 3 years? So our P value is going to be 1,200. That's the principal that we're investing. R, the rate, 0.05, because we need them to be decimals. And time is 3 years, so it's going to be 3. So we just plug them into our formula. I equals P times R times T, and we get 180. So after those 3 years were up, you would have an extra $180. Another example, how much interest is paid if $400 is borrowed at 8% per year, simple interest for 7 months. So P is 400 because that's how much we borrowed. I is 0.08. So that's to be as a decimal. In this case, they gave us our time in months. So if they give us our time in months, but we need it to be in years for the formula, we simply just convert it. So 7 months is 7 out of 12 in years. So it's going to be 400 times 0.08 times 7 over 12. If you put all that in your calculator, you would get 1867. Okay, one more. So how much interest is earned if $900 is invested at 4.25% annual simple interest for 90 days? So our principal is 900. Our interest rate as a decimal is going to be 0.0425. And our time in this case was given as days. So if we convert it to years, we need to put it over 365. Plug that all in and we would get $9.43 in interest. And then we may get some situations in which we have to sort of move around formulas or use more than one formula to make things work. So in this case, we have Robert. So Robert deposits $500 into a guaranteed investment certificate, which is a GIC, that earns 6% per year, simple interest. And I actually posted a link to what a little bit of an explanation about what a GIC is. If you want to, in the online learning plan, you can click on that and read about it. And so part A, we want to know how long it will take to the nearest month for his investment to double. So this is where we're not actually asking for the interest. We're not actually asking for the total amount. We're asking for time when we've been given all of the other values. So we know that I is equal to PRT. And we know that P is 500. We know that R is 0.06, and we're looking for T, but we don't know this. So we have a formula now with two variables in it, so we can't really solve for T yet because we have two variables. But we also have a formula that tells us that A is equal to P plus I. We want our investment to double, so we know the amount that we want to end up with is $1,000. We know that we started with $500. And we also know that I is equal to 500 times 0.06 T. So now we have a formula with only one variable, and we can then solve for T to get the time. So we can start by moving this 500 to the other side, and it would become a subtraction, which would give us 500 equals. We can then multiply 500 times 0.06, which gives us 30T. Divide both sides by 30, and we get T equals 500 over 30, or 50 over 3 in lowest terms. Now, I'm not turning this to a decimal because we want an exact amount, and now we're going to have to do some converting. So we have T is 50 over 3 years. We don't like that. We don't like 50 over 3. So now we need to convert to years and months. So 50 over 3, if we were to do 50 divided by 3, we would get 16 point something. So we know that it equals 16 years. And if we did 3 goes into 50 16 times, 16 times 3 is 48, which would leave 2 over 3 remaining. So 16 years and 2 over 3 years. And if we want to convert 2 over 3 years to months, we need to multiply it by 12. So 2 over 3 times 12 is 24 over 3, which is 8. So therefore, T is 16 years and 8 months. Okay, now we want to know what annual rate of interest is needed to double the investment in 8 years. So now we're looking for R, and we've been given T. So we know that A equals P plus I. And so we know that I equals PRT. So A is going to equal P plus PRT. So it's going to be 500 plus 500R times 8. And we know that A, once again, we want to double, so it's going to be 1,000. So 1,000 equals 500 plus 500 times 8 is 4,000. Not 400, 4,000 R. Same thing, we're just going to rearrange and solve for R. So that means that 500 equals 4,000 R. Divide both sides by 4,000 and we get 0.125. Therefore, the interest rate is 12.5%. And that is all for simple interest.